on every platform. Atman has disappeared from this public domain, even from private domain. If you look at many websites run by Swamis and sadhus and organizations, they will use the word soul, not the Atman. So soul has become universal idea. And I have discussed in previous thoughts that soul has nothing to do with the Atman. Soul is simply either breath of life or psyche, human psyche. That's it. And it does not survive the death. So soul is something which is really far, far different than the concept of Atman, which is the very foundation of our existence. And I discussed these differences at length in the previous classes. You can refer back to those by going back to the Google class page. Vedic worldview loses its uniqueness and necessary universality. So the uniqueness of the Vedic worldview that is expressed through Sanskrit terminology is lost. Universality is lost. So as a result, you will find intellectual imperialism of dominant Western worldview, and of Christianity and Islam religions that promote conversions, that promotes confusion, interfaith. I have been involved with interfaith organizations here in America. And my goodness, our position is so different than the position of other religions that they want to promote their own terminology, and we do not do it by and large. Even dharma has been recently, for a few years, is being used more oftenly in our private and public domain than it used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago. People of India can only be the followers of the West as intellectually slaves, but not the leader. So the language and cognitive field, how the worldview is defined, understood, and practiced around that particular whole field has been corrupted. Ideologies of atheism, materialism, secularism, secular humanism, and many more isms got a ground towards enhancing their voices and political powers. So new terminology is being used and become popularized, just like woke culture. Woke term is a new term which has become very popular now. So new terminology, what I talk about, many isms that have been introduced in our discourses, in our thought patterns, our thinking, the Vedic way of thinking has changed significantly. And we are thinking about that some leaders, many political leaders, they say about, oh, we are going to be what you call the Vishwaguru. It's nothing but empty slogan, because our cognitive emotional structure has changed, the way we think. Talk to a newer generation, your own kids or kids, future generation, they will not understand what you're talking about unless you use the English terminology. So this is the kind of tragedy. Some defining characteristic of the Vedic versus West. Please listen to me carefully. Of course, you are listening to. I'm going very briefly to some of the fundamental differences. How we perceive the world, how we perceive the world relations, world. How do we perceive professional life? How do we perceive personal life? How the personal relationships are seen? For example, let me give you the in-laws. They are no longer sas sasur, they have become in-law. In-law means why legally they become related. Otherwise, they are not related. The terminology, look at the terminology, please ponder upon it. The world of sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, and kinesthesia, awareness of position, movement of parts of the body by means of sensory organs. These are the all aspects of humans, whole human sensorium, how we perceive the world, how we sense the world, all the senses, or we call the Karmendriya, Gyanendriya. The West dominantly is a visual mode, mostly linked to the perception of and at the surface of the existence. All modes are present in Indian way of thinking, in Western way of thinking, but West has dominantly visual mode. If you go back to ancient Greeks, initially pre-Socratic time, they were dominantly audio-oral mode. But somehow bifurcation took place. We don't know why, but it did happen. So West became dominantly visual. As a result, we become most superficial in many ways. Vedic be dominantly sound oral, greatest key to interiority among all the senses. The sound vibrations and how we listen to the sound vibration oral, these two come together in Vedic ways of thinking, talking, relating to the world. These are the dominantly sound and oral. That's why all the primary scriptures are sung. They are what we call in the mode of sangeet, mode of chanting, mantra, chandas. It's just so wonderful, beautiful. Eventually, I'm going to address those things too as we go along. Here I'm giving you brief understanding the difference between Vedic ways of worldview and the if I'm seeing you, I'm looking at you, I only look at your surface. I cannot look deeper into yourself. Once you start speaking, once you start making sound, I can then try to understand your internal world, internal loka, your antahakarana. So this is how it's very important. And you can find it, if you think about it, oh my goodness, yes. And you will be surprised to notice that the child in mother's womb, the first sense that is developed is what you call the sound oral. The sense of listening is the first mode is developed within the child in the womb before other perception, other sensorium get developed. The West, the one life, one body, one death, one personality. That's in brief. That's why in the Western world, you see, you have one life, you have one death, one personality. And if you look at the Christian tradition, Islamic tradition, some Messiah or somebody will come, you worry the dead bodies, and they will be somehow, all the graves will be dug up, and then they will become alive, all the dead bodies, and either they go to heaven or they go to hell. That's it. There's no law of karma. There is no karma yoga. There is no kind of yogic process, and there is no kind of coming back, the rebirth phenomena. Rebirth phenomena, many of the so-called Indian intellectuals have started believing in, because what we call the modern scientific misunderstood worldviews. A lot of, as I go along in the future lessons, I will talk about it, because it has a greater relevance and meaning, power for the contemporary world. It has been ancient, it will keep on going. Lots of research is being done by Westerners in the West, and these are the scientists, some of the very prominent scientists, and they are saying is real. Many of the what you call the near-death experiences, the newborn kids remember their past lives. All this proved to be, yes, there's a cycle of birth and death. The whole worldview of the Vedic thinking is cyclic. Within the body, cyclic things are going on. For example, blood is flowing in cyclic manner, rhythmic manner. Heart is beating in rhythmic manner. All many rhythmic cycles are within our body, and they are also within the universe. Everything is in motion. Everything is motion. And at every nanosecond time frame, birth and death is going mostly. Rebirth is going on continuously. So even up within our body, new cells are born, they stay, and then they die. Newer cells again born, and all this phenomena is going on in this change of season in cyclic way. Western worldview is a linear worldview, which is now changing as a result of orientation especially. And those who keep claiming that scientists do not believe in, they are living in the darkness, because they do not want to look at the state-of-the-art knowledge and wisdom in the scientific domains. And I have also talked about limitations of the current paradigms in the scientific world. So the Vedic worldview, some of the ideas are being now they are being talked about in the Western thought process. And many Western thinkers and scientists are going back to the wisdom of the ancient rishis. My personal encounter, we will talk about at the appropriate time. The West my dear listeners, English language is linear, their thought patterns are linear, one-dimensionally and binary. Good versus evil, objective or subjective, true or false, innocence or guilt, freedom or oppression. I have hundreds of those technical words in English language and their cognitive framework that I can list it down here. Linear. Non-linearity start coming back slowly in the contemporary scientific worldview when we're talking about the biological process. The Sanskrit language thought patterns are highly contextual, non-linear, with multidimensional semantic fields, and founded on the audio-oral patterns. Natya Sangeet. That's the origin of Natya Sangeet. Linearity, unidimensionality is a subset of non-linear set. Entities and fields are tripartite and distributed like light spectrum, while binary characteristics are subset. Tripartite means Satyarajatam, Jeev Jagat Jagannath, Purush Prakriti Purushottam. Oh my goodness, this is how we have defined and understood the existence of this cosmos. Example, Agni is threefold, has three heads, three stations, three tongues, three bodies, three dwellings, source of three spaces, and three yonis. I'm giving you some example to give you a new perspective based on what I'm talking about here, that you may not have been what you call several video talks or this talk or that talk. The best, return to Greece as the foundational entity. Rome, the fathers of the church, Italian Renaissance, Romanticism, Enlightenment thinkers, scientists, all turn to Greece. Any new discovery takes place in the contemporary world in every discipline. In order to coin a new term for that, they go back to Greece and Latin. This is legitimate for them. They have to go back. Greek is their foundational mother of their wisdom. And look at the luminaries. The return to Greece was essential for aesthetic, philosophical, psychological, scientific, emotional regions, even if they never set a foot there. Some of the greatest thinkers in the Western world for last, 300 years or 400 years, they never even set foot in the soil of Greece, in the land of Greeks. But still, they will go back to Greece for their own understanding. Seen Goethe, Hölderlin, Hegel, Heine, Keats, Nietzsche, Stravinsky, Picasso, Heidegger, Joyce, Freud, Jung, Marx, just name a few. They all go back to Greeks. The Greek ways of knowledge, Greek ways of myths, the stories, the language, the thought patterns, so go. But after, it is only through these thinkers, but their Western thought models and patterns are no longer Greeks. They have been cut off. So this going back had become sort of an exercise in futility. And what is happening to Hindu mind? The mind of the slaves, intellectual slaves, conceptually colonized Indian thinkers. That's what I've added the word conceptually colonized. There is a politically colonized, socially colonized. There are many kind of colonization that are within our Hindu contemporary thought process. By general statement, it means this is the dominant majority of the thought process. They kept returning to the thought patterns of Western colonizer, and the English language did not return to Vedic wisdom tradition at all. Look at the, in the field of political arena, they coined the term left versus right. You are leftist or you are rightist. Where did the term come from? Again, from Western thought process. And they do not know where this originates from. The French Revolution, They do not know about it. What are the limitations? What are these drawbacks of this terminology? But we use blindly. In our in Indian Constitution, these simply things have been added. These terms have been added without defining them. Secularism, socialism, sarva dharma sambhav, sarva dharma saman. India, Bharat became India, the very first national recognition is simply conceptual, colonized slavery. They did not return to Vedic wisdom. Look at any field of human knowledge which is being taught in Indian institutions. Whenever they use the English language, they use the English terms, ignoring totally the original terms from Sanskrit language, which is multi-dimensional, beautiful, wonderful. I tell you, I cannot express myself through words the beauty and wonder and the mystery that I feel within myself after going through several years of contemplative meditation on these aspects of our existence, the language and thought patterns. So my dear, suggest you with my humble pranam that please to that unidimensional quotation. कर्तव्य ही धर्म है, प्रेम ही ईश्वर है, सेवा ही पूजा है. This is a unidimensional thing. धर्म है, only. It's a one-dimensional thinking. When you use this language, कर्तव्य ही धर्म है, प्रेम ही ईश्वर है, सेवा ही पूजा है. I will say कर्तव्य भी धर्म है, प्रेम भी ईश्वर है, सेवा भी पूजा है. All these prem has multidimensional experiences. Using the word he, you are which is not right. कर्तव्य ही धर्म है, duty is dharma, duty is also dharma. Actually, dharma itself incorporates the word kartabya. So this is, I give you one example. I can keep on citing hundreds of examples, and you can examine your own language when you use in. When you sit down and think about something, think about this. Am I using a unidimensional situation, or I am dealing with a multidimensional situation? But keep in mind, unidimensional is a part and parcel of multidimensionality when other dimensions collapse together. This is one example, my dear listeners. There another clarification is needed in pronunciation and spelling. I've been giving these talks for last several years, and I get these kind of questions. Yoga versus yoga, Ram versus Rama, Krishna versus Krishna, Mahabharata versus Mahabharata, Shiv versus Shiva, and so on. And this is due to the fact that the Sanskrit Varnamala when you use Sanskrit Varnamala and these terms according to Sanskrit Varnamala, then what is called the Swar and Vyanjan, there is always ka, ka, ga. That's the smallest unit produced by human voice. In Hindi language, many other language, we have cut down to only two sound vibration: ka, kha, ga, gha. So if you are writing in Hindi language, many other language, then you will read by yog, yog. Sanskrit terminology, Sanskrit sound will use yoga. Otherwise, ga becomes, g becomes half. Halan. Yoga is the correct. How about use then the high sound? Yoga. Ram versus Rama. So when you hear these songs, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, that's the correct singing, according to the Sanskrit sound vibrations. Mahabharat, if there is no A after T, then T becomes half, halant. So proper terminology will be, spelling will be Mahabharata, A. Shiv versus Shiva. Some people write SHIV, their first name, and then the V becomes half. It's not a full sound vibration. Shiva, that's the full sound vibration. Shiva, that's the next sound vibration. You should not get confused anymore when you see some of these terms. Say, well, I think this is misspelling, or no, it is not the misspelling. Most of the time is the correct way of, if you are using the original Sanskrit Varnamala. Why Lokasamgraham? We will talk more about it. This is it's a good view graph I got from our Rajivji. How the civilization, Indian civilization, I call the wounded civilization. I call the civilization that went into slavery for hundreds of years. And if you want to read more about it, read the work of Sitaram Goel, Ram Sarupji, and many others. And we will, when we use the term Sangraham, Lokasamgraham together, then I will bring the Bhagavad Gita into perspective. Then we will talk in detail some of these ideas. That's why Lokasamgraham, you will see once I describe the whole, decode the whole title, then you will have a better understanding what I'm talking about. I will be able to communicate with you more effectively. Thank you so much. Now let's look at the word Loka. Lokasamgraha Yogadharma-Kshetra. There are 5 highly loaded multidimensional technical terms used in my title. You may not have heard this title or may not have seen this title anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, I've looked at everywhere. Together. So the title is not only Lokasamgraha, Lokasamgraha Yogadharma-Kshetra. Why did I do it? You will come to know in the future lectures. It's a beauty, it's a wonder. If you are looking at the beauty and wonder, meditate on your own self. It's so beautiful. Look at your own self. Meditate on your own self, what you are, what you're thinking about. How do you deal with the world around you? That's my suggestions to all of you. Sit down for 10 minutes every night in silence. Keep all the phones, all the distraction away, and sit down. What did I do this whole day? What did I think about it? How did I see the world and my relations, my family. How did I see all this? How do I experience all this? And you will eventually move ways of thinking, acting, talking, listening. Thank you so much. So let's look at what you call the Loka. This is really mind-boggling to see how the Loka word has been used, defined in various disciplines. This is a multi-loaded polymorphous, which means it takes many forms, multi-dimensional word, which is so pervasive in entire Vedic wisdom tradition. Shastras, Puranas, Vedas, everywhere in Brahmanas, in Upanishad, everywhere you will find the term Loka. Hard to translate in English. It covers any realm of the mundane world, transcendental, common people and their behavior. There are two etymological roots, bhavadi, churadi. To see, to behold, to perceive, to know, to recognize. So, lokyate iti loka, meaning that is perceived in the world is loka. Whatever is shastra, manifestation out of unmanifest, appearance coming into light, sphere of direct perception, sphere of the known, people and their ways here and now in concrete wisdom. Each and every aspect is called the Loka. Ultimately, entire totality of substantive, quantitative, qualitative, and external in this existence is called the Loka. Not an independent category, but interlinked with the other associated concept. Loka Veda, Loka Shastra, Loka Chandas, Loka Natya, Iloka Parloka. Levels of meaning for Loka. Loka or Aloka, the world of light or darkness. 7 spheres of Loka, successively highest dry regions, Bhulok, Bhuvaralok, Swaralok, Maharlok, Janlok, Taparlok, Satyalok. 7 spheres, lower regions. Atal, Vital, Sutal, Rasatal, Talatal, Mahatal, Patal. Community of men and sharing of common tradition, common practices, women. They are all sum total of entire activity of people, human, divine, or devil, of creatures, plants, of trees and rivers, hills and mountains, oceans, forests, lake fields, unbroken chain of experience, part of total personality of the people. Loka also means behavior of the world consists of movable, immovable objects. Vayu, Dhatu, because they pervade the whole body and keep on holding it. They are lokas. From them, the mobile and immobiles are born. Bhagavan Punarvasu said in Charak Samhita, person is equal to the Loka. Oh my goodness. What a wonder. Whatever formed entities are in the universe, same are in the person, vice versa. If viruses are out, bacteria are out, some of them are also, which are healthy, are contained within human body. Whatever is out there, whatever in the pind, that is in Brahman, whatever the pind, that is in Brahman. These are the unique and universal ideas that do not exist in. Not drama is which is a total art, crucial test is the Loka. Cumulative awareness, receptiveness of all beings, human, others is Loka. Bhagavan Vishnu contains within himself the whole cosmos with his all lokas and his Vishwarupa, universal form, Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter. Recent studies in performing arts of ritualistic arts of India have amply shown that Loka is the eye to see the whole tradition. Because it in Loka that we find continuous flow of creative activity in consonance with the worldview of the timeless Bharati tradition. Cosmological models. Look at the Purusukta, the vision 1090 Rigved, very famous, very popular. A vision of divine to create the world from himself and holds it within himself. Nasti Sukta, hymn of creation, Rigvedic 10:129. The creation originated by the one when in the beginning there was neither existence nor non-existence. So one became many and all. Virat Purush, Bhagavan as cosmos. Verily the whole world is manifested body of Bhagavan. Nation and body of the Brahman or Bhagavan. Oh my goodness. Look at the most, in parts, Bhagavan's bodies are followed, Bhagavad Puran. 14 worlds, God, Mahabhutas and their derivatives contained within the Bhagavan's body. Cosmic phenomena, all kinds of celestial objects, day and night, holy scriptures, psychic, mental features, modesty, greed, dharma, adharma, geographic objects like ocean, mountains, river, and forest, animals, plants, celestial beings, Gandharva, Vidyadhar, Sura, Devata, Asura, separate Varnas, Apsaras, Charana, all these are contained within the divine body. And this is the fundamental and most unique, most wonderful, the ultimate statement from Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Atmanne bhatmanatmanam srajaye hamnyunapalaye atmayanubhavene bhutindri gulatmana. I create, sustain, and dissolve everything within myself and out of myself. All these effects in the form of material elements, sense powers, and gunas being such manifestation of mind in the creative process. That's the ultimate statement. Emanation. Everything comes out of me. I create myself by myself for myself. I sustain myself for myself by myself. I dissolve myself within myself for myself, yet I remain transcendental to all this universe, all this process. And that is really my Yogamaya. I remain beyond time and space and beyond creation, beyond annihilation, beyond sustenance, yet I am all this. It happens within me, by myself, for myself. This worldview, it does not exist anywhere. If you are trying to interpret and integrate and graft different worldviews on this, keep this in mind. None of the worldview claims proclaim such a unified, eternal viewpoint. It's just wonderful if you think about it. Each and every element in this universe each and living element in this universe, living or non-living, in itself. Jagat Brahma ho gaya, Brahma Jagat ho gaya. Wow, 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 wow. So Loka, concept of Loka, that's the source of the concept of Loka. In all domains, in all dimensions, in all levels, in all scales, each and every entity is a Loka. For human being, this human personality is a Loka. Male or female does not matter. Each and every microorganism is a Loka in itself. So Loka is as pervasive as the concept called Brahman. This is the beauty, this wonder, and that's why see how the Lokasamgraha turns out to be as we go along, my dear listeners. Now, before I conclude this session, my time is up. Let's do this prayer together. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tej. Om Santi, Santi, Santi. Hari Om. Let us sing together. Let's learn together. Let's join together. Let's benefit for the whole humanity. Let's learn together, dance together. This sense lokas must be Santi, Santi, Santi. That's why we repeat 3 times. My dear listeners, thank you so much. I offer my gratitude for your appearance, your participation in this course. You can go back and look at more on the website, which has been provided to you. And our next meeting is going to be on July 15th, the same time, and the same ID, meeting ID the same, passcode is the same. So please join in. Ask other of your friends and family members to join in. If they are at all in the ancient world of wisdom, I bow down to all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I ask for your forgiveness. You are so kind. You are so kind. You are so kind. Thank you.